Excellent. Thank you, Mary. We are absolutely enjoying your DJing. I see lots of smiling faces. And thank you for also putting up the agenda today. You can take that down now. So I want to welcome everyone to the COVID-19 virtual town hall today. I suspect our agenda is full enough that I want to turn it right over to Marco to get us started. Marco.
Thanks, Sherry. Good afternoon and almost noon, everyone. Can everybody hear me? All right, cool. So I'm Marco Giordano, your CEO. I appreciate everybody joining us again today. So as we start our time off this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are in the United States of America, I want to start us off with a quote that often reminds me of our founder, Bert Wolfson, who loved sailing and who believed in possibilities. So here's the quote. When you can't change the direction of the wind, adjust your sails. This is a quote from inspirational writer H. Jackson Brown, reminding us that when we are faced with adversity, we do have the power to impact our path forward. So over the past week, a new variant of COVID called Omicron has been detected in many countries, including the United States. There is not yet enough information known about this variant, but we do expect that over the upcoming weeks that we will all learn more about it. This definitely comes at a time when many are celebrating. I wish, again, anybody that was celebrating Hanukkah over the past week, happy Hanukkah. And then those that are planning to celebrate in the upcoming weeks, the holidays, the winter holidays. This also comes at a time that after almost 2 years of enduring some really wild winds, right? 2 years of enduring COVID. And this also comes at a time when many of us are exhausted and in need of something more or something different. So for certain, the winds continue to blow, but we do have the power to impact our path forward. So as we begin to learn more about Omicron, let's also continue to navigate the waters together by practicing the 4 W's of washing your hands, wearing a mask, watching your distance, and waiting on large gatherings. These protocols continue to be important. By educating ourselves about the COVID-19 vaccine to ensure that we're making informed decisions. The COVID vaccine has been proven to mitigate the risk of significant disease, hospitalization, and death. And if you have chosen to receive the vaccine, make sure you get fully vaccinated, as well as watch out for when you're eligible for the booster. Let's also continue to support the people we serve. They need us more now than ever. Let's be kind to each other. We know a smile goes a long way. And most importantly, or just as important, be kind to yourself, because taking care of you is just as important as taking care of others. So as we go through the day today, as we go through the next week, the next couple of weeks, continue to adjust your sails, continue to create a new normal, have hope. With the support of each other, we will reach our destinations together. I want to take a moment to, again, thank you all for all that you do. Thank you for your continued commitment to the work we do and each other. So with that, I'll turn the mic back over to Sherry. And again, thank you all for joining us today.
Thanks, Marco. And Mary, if you could put up the agenda again. As always, we've had lots of people join us in the last couple minutes. I'd just like to give people a view of today. So we've had our opening remarks and we are moving on to our second portion, the housekeeping, which will also show you how you can submit your questions today. So I'm going to just keep going, Mary, so take your time. Beyond that, Brian is going to share the COVID numbers with us, as he always does. We'll get an update on 4,700 testing site, as well as the 72-hour testing rule FAQ, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. We have our only a Forrest here today to help us through some self-care. And I'm looking forward to that myself, Leah, and then we'll get some closing remarks from Marco. So as always, I want to encourage us to submit questions. We have everything available today. So we have folks manning the Your Voice, the COVID-19 inbox, the Zoom chat, and of course, you can always use the raise hand function. By the way, sometimes it's hard to see the raise hand because we're on so many screens, so my apologies. If you have your hand raised, you can also put it in the chat so we can be sure to see you. All right, so let me turn it over to Brian to take us through the numbers.
Thanks, Sherry. Can everybody hear me okay? I see some. Okay, very good. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So we're going to do the COVID numbers like we usually do at Town Hall. So currently we've received 3,310 reports since we started collecting data from back in March of 2020. Of those reports that we've received, 921 have been confirmed, 1,567 have been negative. We have 91 suspected cases and 721 possible exposures. So at this time, I'm going to share my screen like I often do, just so we can get a look at some of the data. So does everybody see that chart? Okay, very good. So one of the things that we see about this chart is that following Labor Day, Halloween, and Thanksgiving, we saw increased reporting after each holiday. So you can see this large mark here. This represents after Labor Day, and it's a little small. So this one right here, if everybody can see it, is after Halloween. And then this latest one here is after Thanksgiving. So we see those bumps after those large gathering events. So what we can tell is that those large gatherings are still generating exposures and new COVID cases. So we see that trend continuing. So with that being said, I'm going to throw an analogy out at you as well, because who doesn't love a good analogy? So, and I'm going to make it a security one. I'm going to liken it to COVID. So a security camera alone does not protect you and your property. So when you're putting together a system, you're going to add other components. You're going to add maybe additional lighting, door and window alerts, security company signage. Maybe you'll even get a big dog or an ill-tempered cat to protect your property. So, but in that same vein, COVID response needs to be multi-layered as well. Just observing one safe behavior doesn't really, cover you. It's not enough. Even being vaccinated is not a 100% guarantee that you won't become ill. So we look at it much the same way. We need to layer in other protective measures, like Marco already said, washing your hands, wearing a mask, watching your distance, and waiting on gatherings. So we need to do all of those things in order to keep ourselves safe through these, through these holidays, and even moving forward. Like Marco mentioned, there's Omicron on the horizon. We don't know much about it, so we really need to protect ourselves. And even with Delta still being so predominant out there. So doing all these things together will give you a greater chance of not getting sick or passing COVID on to friends, family, coworkers, or clients. And with that, thank you, everyone, and be safe. And there we go.
All right, thank you, Brian. And then Sheena is going to give us an update, I believe, on the 4,700 testing site, as well as a little information about the FAQ coming out on the 72-hour rule. Sheena, I'm sure you're here.
I'm here.
There you are. Yay.
Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. So for the 4,700 testing site, which is to support employees working in Philadelphia, or if you're outside of Philadelphia and you require testing and you're able to get to that site, you're welcome to use it as well. We are full steam ahead. We are working through the process, and be on the lookout for an emails coming out, because as soon as we're ready to share, we'll send emails out of when that will be starting, along with information on how to register to get set up with that process. This is free testing for RHD employees. So if you have insurance, they will use your insurance. It is free. You won't be billed for it. If there is any cost that's incurred, the testing lab they cover that cost. So this is free testing for all RHD employees. So once be on the lookout for emails for the start date, for registration, for how to set up and get linked to their portal. Also, we're using this for those outside of Philadelphia as a pilot. So we're using this to see how it works. This is something that may be mirrored in other parts of the country. So we're really excited about this to see how it works. For the 72-hour testing rule, again, this is specific to Philadelphia, those who were impacted by the Philadelphia mandate. So we said this before, and I'll say it again. If you work more than 3 days in a 7-day period, you're required to test twice a week. Your test needs to be uploaded within 72 hours of taking the test. So that test needs to be uploaded within that time, but you need to test twice per week. If you work 3 days or less in a 7-day period, you need to test, and that needs to be uploaded within 72 hours of your shift. So for example, if I go and I get tested at 3 p.m. on Sunday, and I have a shift for Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I get my results back maybe sometime Sunday night or Monday morning. I uploaded them. I'm good to work Monday. I'm good to work Tuesday. But for that shift on Thursday, I would need to retest again and have my test results back and uploaded within 72 hours of that Thursday shift, because that test I took on Sunday is without that first 72-hour window. So I hope that makes sense and it's clear. We are working on a FAQ page that gives a lot of examples, answers questions, and actually has some illustrations. So as soon as that's ready, that will be sent out. But please reach out if you have any questions or concerns about the testing, on-site testing at 4,700, or about the 72-hour testing requirement in accordance to the Philadelphia mandate. All right, that's all. I'm pass it back to Sherry.
All right, thanks, Sheena. So we are opening it up now for Q&A, and I'll pause for some uncomfortable silence, take some nice big breaths, and then I'll check in with Mary and Sarah to see if they have any questions.
Hey, Sherry, before we go to Q&A, we have a little bit of a surprise today for everybody. We randomly selected one person as a winner of a surprise for their program today. The winner is Sarah Dew. She's from Rise Above. Sarah, Linda will be in touch with you to let you know what the prize is for you and your program.
Thank you, Tara. Super cool. All right, now we get to open it up for some Q&A. So let me check in. How about if I start with you today, Sarah? Any questions?
Yep, I have a handful of questions. Sorry, I'm excited about this raffle thing that just happened. I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but it's exciting. Okay. First question, if a site has 16 participants that tested positive for COVID, will they receive hazard pay? I'm assuming the person means the staff who are working at the program. I don't know if Linda's on, because I know Linda usually talks about hazard pay, but I don't know if she's here today. So if anyone else wants to.
Yeah, I can jump in, Sarah. So
Thanks, Brandon.
yeah, absolutely. So again, just as a reminder, hazard pay is for any worker, employee who is working directly in contact with someone who has been diagnosed COVID positive, or who is under quarantine, suspected COVID exposure positive, right? So it's not about a program, just as a reminder. So a whole program or house or site doesn't necessarily go under hazard pay. It's for the employees themselves who are working in direct contact with those folks. So it could be that all workers in a location are eligible because of who they work with, but it's really driven by the individual staff member working with someone, again, who has been COVID positive tested or is under exposure or potential for COVID positive tests. So just want to keep those in mind. So I hate, again, as we would normally would, we would like you to reach out to your supervisor for some specifics because every scenario is a little different. So I don't want to comment and say all 60 or all employees at that 60-person site would be eligible. It really, there's some more details to talk through. So I would encourage you to please reach out to your supervisor. If your supervisor is not able to answer, then reach out directly to Linda or myself, and we'll walk through that with you. Or as well as June and or Brian can also assist with walking you through that as well. So any of the four of us would be glad to do so.
Thanks, Brandon. Sherry, I have 3 more questions. Should we just keep going? All right, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we just got a follow up to the hazard pay question. So I'm just gonna actually ask that first and then we can go to the other. So someone asked in the chat, what if you're working directly with new employees for onboarding? Someone out of the group finds out that they are positive with COVID. Do you still qualify for hazard pay? So I guess they're specifically talking about another employee. Brandon.
So we're not talking about consumers or individuals we serve. We're talking employee to employee then. Is that, want to make sure that that's clear because that does change it. Hazard pay is not talking about employee to employee interactions. It's talking about employee to consumer interaction. So that is, I want to make that clear in the definition of hazard pay. It's where an employee is working directly with a consumer who has been, again, confirmed positive or who has expected or being watched under exposure for being, so it's not employee to employee, it's employee to consumer. So if that's not the direction the question is headed, again, would ask for some more clarification, maybe on a one-on-one basis. If you want to reach out and we'll try to talk through your scenario, that would be great. But hazard pay is not, again, not directed to employee, it's directed to employee consumer.
Thanks, Brandon. Okay. When a participant tests positive for COVID and we receive the results on a Saturday morning, this is kind of a specific question, but I'm going to ask it because it could be, so other people could be wondering. So when a participant tests positive for COVID and we receive the results on a Saturday morning, why do the participants need to wait until Monday to go to a hospital or a COVID site to be isolated and treated?
From an operational standpoint, there wouldn't be a reason why they would wait. Yeah, that is not our current practice, and I think June may have just popped it in there. That is not our protocol. So we may need to have that discussion again about protocols. So I would advise that Brian and June just sent out the refreshed protocols for us at the end of last week. Might not hurt. Number one, we'll review those in our division meeting as well. Again, just to make sure those are fresh in everyone's minds. But if you would check your email, you do have those fresh in your email, and I would ask you to go through, look at those protocols and see if you have questions on anything, because again, that would not be our protocol. We would act immediately to ensure that we're protecting the safety of not only the individuals we serve, but also the staff around us. So we would not want to wait to do that.
Great, thank you. How long will people be required to test twice a week if unvaccinated? Is showing an antibody lab test result every 30 days something the agency would consider?
So this sounds like a Philadelphia specific question since they're mentioning them twice a week. Right now is the mandate coming from the Philadelphia Department of Behavioral Health. So that's not on us, that's on the city of Philadelphia. So it's if they update or change their requirements of the mandate, then we would have to then follow the updated mandate. But for right now, it's twice a week testing if you have an approved exemption or not fully vaccinated.
Okay. Sorry, one more. Also, vaccinated people are testing positive for COVID every day. So wouldn't it be safe then that everyone is tested in the organization? I know this has been a question in the past, but it's come up a few times, so it might be worth addressing again.
I'll take that one, Sarah. Yeah, you're right. This question has come up in previous town halls, and it's an important question. So I appreciate whoever asked it, resurfacing it. We know that the vaccinated individuals are also susceptible to the disease. That the disease can also, that vaccinated individual can be a carrier of COVID. We continue to follow CDC guidelines. And CDC guidelines do not require us and do not recommend that vaccinated individuals test. And we also are wanting to keep the doors open for us to continue to manage the disease, as well as manage some of the other challenges that we have in the organization, i.e. most of what everybody experiences as it relates to our staffing crisis. And therefore, we have not as an organization mandated the vaccination, because that would just compound the staffing challenges that we currently have. We believe that vaccinations and whether or not someone gets a vaccine is a choice. And unless government is mandating us, like they are in Philadelphia, as well as Connecticut and Delaware currently, that we're going to stay on that track and continue to deploy strategies that allow us to be compliant with government, but also allow us to manage some of the other challenges as an organization that we also need to manage. We, as Sheena shared earlier today, we are standing up a testing site at 4700, and are continuing to assess how testing availability is available in other locations of the organization to determine as we move forward if testing is a tool that we could be using differently as a larger organization as we move forward. But right now, again, as we've experienced in those areas where the requirement exists, testing is a challenge as well. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, Marco. Sherry, I have one more, but if you want to go to the chat.
I'll keep going, and then we'll go to Mary. Thanks.
Sure. With COVID numbers increasing each day, if our agency, I'm assuming if our program worked from home in the past, are we able to request to work from home several days a week again?
I'd say you're always able to have that conversation with your supervisor. Again, every case is going to be different, so I apologize. I'm not able to say yes. So in some cases, we'll be able to make accommodations to do that. Others, it's just not possible. So I think you definitely need to discuss that question with your supervisor. If you disagree on a matter, certainly we can escalate that and have conversation. But our goal is to try to work with our teams as best we can, again, to keep both our consumers and our individual and our peers safe. So that's what we will try to do.
Thanks, Brandon. Sherry, that's all I have right now.
So we will go to Mary.
Okay, so from the chat, the Supreme Court blocked the mandate, so why are we still mandated?
I'm assuming I saw that question. Sade, are you in Philadelphia or one of the mandated Connecticut, Delaware? So whatever the Supreme, and I think Stephanie's on the call, may have blocked relates, I believe, to CMS or OSHA. So the mandates, the local mandates, Philadelphia, Connecticut, Delaware, they still stand. So they're still in place. They don't have anything to do with the federal mandates that got blocked or temporarily blocked right now.
Perfectly said, Sheena.
Thank you. A bit off topic, but was the bonus money from COVID bills over the last few years?
I'm assuming they mean the retention payment that was made last Friday that just went by. That was a result of our fiscal 21 surplus Our fiscal 21 surplus was a result of savings that were related to COVID, not to bills, not to services we provided. When you say bills, I think about us billing services we're providing. From my perspective, it was a surplus spend down. The surplus was related to savings from salaries because of all our vacant positions. The $1.3 million reserve that we always have in our budget that was not needed this year. We also had about $3 million of savings as an organization in travel and vehicles. As a reminder, because I know some of us recognize our team as the programs we work in, we are a $280 million worth of revenue organization with 160 different programs. So that $3 million number is a very large number, but when you look at it as the organization as a whole, percentage-wise, it starts to become something different. Does that answer the question? Are there any follow-ups to it? Let me know if they are. Always available. Thank you.
Will do. Are we supposed to send a report every time participants or staff test positive, no matter the number?
Oop, I can jump in here for that one. The answer is yes. Whenever you have a staff or a participant who has a confirmed case of COVID, we do need a report for them, but we also need reports, those other reports too, those reports that have a suspected case, that's somebody who has COVID-like symptoms. And we also need the exposure reports as well. If you have staff or participant who are exposed to somebody with a confirmed case or a suspected case, we need reports for them as well. And I would point you back to the protocols to our reporting page for that. So if you want to review that.
Thanks. Okay, a follow-up, I think, to Sheena and the mandate question. This person's asking, federal is higher, so they don't understand how it is that something would trump the federal mandate.
Let me jump in on that. I'm going to give
Great.
you a kind of quick and dirty, I guess, a supremacy of laws. Chat, when someone says that the federal law is over or takes over in terms of competition with the state law, it's accurate. But what we're really saying is that if the federal government creates a law, a rule, or an ordinance, then the state has to follow or at least not create conflict with that law. However, any state and any time can always enact a law, an ordinance, an act that provides more protection. So if there are protections, for example, such as the vaccine mandate, while no state could come in and say, no, not here, we're not going to follow that vaccine mandate. However, states, and in this case, in one case for our organization, Philadelphia, as a municipality, can create a law that provides more protection. So think about the law kind of in a hierarchy. The federal law is here, state laws here, and then underneath that would be the local laws. The federal law being here just means that states can do more, provide more protection for its citizens, but they cannot provide less. Hopefully that helps you out. And if you want more information, I love talking about supremacy clause of the Constitution. So you can send me an email or we could chat.
Thanks, Stephanie. What do you say to a person that is consistently exposed to COVID but fully vaccinated? Oh, sorry. What do you say to a person that is consistently exposed to COVID by fully vaccinated persons?
I can jump in and take a gander at that. What I would say is that in the society we live, none of us knows if we are outside of the confines of our own home, who we are being exposed to. So I would refer us back to two things. Make sure we know what the protocols are and that we follow it, and make sure we go back to what Marco said in his opening remarks, that we wash our hands, that we wear masks, that we socially distance, and that we wait for large gatherings whenever possible. It's kind of the universal precautions for COVID, and that's what we need to be doing.
And what do you recommend a program do if there is an outbreak?
I'm
Okay,
all- I'll go again.
everything for that is outlined in our COVID protocols. We would need to consult with that program on how to move clients around because each program is different. But we should be isolating people and then wearing masks and washing hands should be all already been done. So again, please send a request to safety@rhd.org or call me. Then we can work on a special arrangement for that program that is unique to that site.
And then for the 4,700 COVID testing site, if we could just repeat the hours.
Good. So I'll jump in really fast and go back on some other questions that I got privately that have to do with this also. So has RHD Family Practice open yet to employees for COVID testing as mentioned last week? So two things, FPCN does do COVID testing by appointment. So at Family Practice and Counseling Network, if you call their locations, they have 3 locations in Philadelphia, you could call to schedule a COVID testing appointment. Separate from that, RHD, we're doing on-site testing with an outside lab. So the lab has their own staff that comes in, they administer, it's PCR testing. They administer the PCR testing, they handle it, they send it back to the lab, and those results come back in within 24 to 36 hours. The lab has been getting results back to their clients, so whatever agencies or businesses they're working with, within 12 to 24 hours. So that's how that is working. I think that answered 2 questions that I got a private message. And then for the hours of operation. So once we finalize everything, the days of the weeks and times will be sent out as well. What we'll be doing for the first couple of weeks is monitoring, seeing how it's going. So maybe we'll get a lot of people that come in at 9 a.m. and nobody that comes in at 2 o'clock. Maybe we get nobody that comes on Wednesday. So we'll reassess what hours or what days are needed during the first couple weeks, depending on how it goes. So the hours and days of the week, when we send out the other information, that will be included as well. So if you see it, if you get it and you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't work for me, let us know, because that's information we need as well. So, and maybe we can adjust it.
Just to add, Sheena had sent a survey out about 2 weeks ago asking people who would need to be tested in the Philly area and what days and times would work best. We're using that information as our starting point. But as Sheena said, after we do 2 weeks or so, we'll reevaluate and adjust. So if you run into issues, let Sheena or myself know. For those folks outside of the Philadelphia area, if you're wanting or needing to get tested and you can't find somewhere to go, please reach out to Sheena, myself, or anyone else on the vaccination committee, and we can help you find resources. And again, as Sheena said earlier, we're looking at using this one in Philly as a pilot to possibly roll it out to other areas of the country.
All right, thank you, Mary. We're going to turn it back to see Sarah. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question about the vaccine site in Philly. I'm sorry if this has been asked or answered, and I just wasn't paying attention because I'm fielding questions. So the question is, will the testing site only be for those employees who are exempt, or can vaccinated employees be tested also if they think they have been exposed?
Yeah, so it's for all RHD employees who could get to the site. So if you're exempt, if you have an exemption, you can come get vaccinated. If you're fully vaccinated and you need to be tested for some reason, you know, you can come in and use it as well. There are procedures, protocols that need to be followed when, you know, coming on site that are specific to, you know, how this testing, on-site testing will work. And again, more information about that will come out as we finalize everything, and you get all the emails. I'm sure there will be many emails with that information. But yes, to answer your question, it's available for all RHD employees who could get to the site.
All right, thank you, Sarah. It sounds like that's all you had right now. Let me check back in with both Sheena. Did you get any others? And Mary? No from Sheena. Let's see if I can.
I got, when will the email be going out? So this is dependent. There are a lot of moving pieces in this. You guys have been very patient with us. We have to wait until we get all the information. We don't want to send out just segmented, just, pieces of information and not the whole picture. So as soon as everything comes together and we're able to give you the dates, the registration information, the process for everything, then that email will go out. We're working very hard and trying to work as quickly as possible to get everything together, but we want to make sure that it's done correctly. So that's why it's taken a little bit longer.
Sheena, thanks for clarifying that. So right now we don't have any questions. I'm just going to do a quick pause. Maybe one more deep breath, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, Leah. All right, Leah, give us some wellness tips.
Okay, Sherry, tell you that deep breath, I need it because honestly, my heart is racing right now. I saw myself on the agenda to speak about self-care, and that was in relation to burnout. That's why that topic was on the table. And so I spent quite a bit of time researching burnout and put together this whole thing about burnout, of which self-care is a large piece. And not feeling like I'm able to pivot today because there's just so much going on and I'm dealing with my own burnout. I'm going to stick with what I've put together. I see some heads nodding, and thank you. That's very reassuring. All right, I'm going to screen share because it's me, and I love my PowerPoint. All right, so I'm Leah Forrest. Many of you know me as RHD's Environmental Design Specialist, which is a component of the Department of Clinical Innovation and Quality, or DCIQ. I'm certainly not an authority on the topic of burnout. I am not here as an expert because I, too, am trying to manage my own burnout and am often falling short. So when the request came to talk about the topic at today's town hall, and I was the DCIQ representative in that meeting, I knew I'd need to do a little reading about it myself. So please understand that my approach here today is to share and summarize what I read and what's being talked about when it comes to the topic of burnout, instead of talking to you as if I know what I'm actually talking about. But I will start quickly with something that I do know, and that is that all of us are juggling the personal and professional stresses of the times we are living through. Some of us are carrying around the heaviness of events happening in other parts of the world, or in our country, in our neighborhoods, and even in our own homes. We are all juggling the emotions that come from differing opinions about events and politics with our colleagues, peers, and even within our own family units. Some of us are questioning if the work we do that we are passionate about is worth the risk, the exhaustion, and the pay. And despite all of this, we are showing up every day, and we are still driven to give our energy to work that uplifts and supports others. We chose this work, and we choose it again and again, over and over, every day that we show up. We are givers by nature, and we are giving and giving and giving, and we each need support right now, too. So here are the articles that I read to educate myself about workplace burnout. What my reading of these articles told me is that passion-driven and caregiving roles are some of the most susceptible to burnout. We are seeing the effects of this through turnover and the staffing crisis. After reading these articles and how to cope with workplace burnout, my eyes were open to something. That self-care is not actually the answer. Because if we suggest that self-care is the answer, then we insinuate that we are the problem. That suggests that you are the cause of your burnout. That because you didn't do enough yoga classes or take enough deep breaths, you somehow went out and caught yourself the burnout disease. We have to take the blame off of ourselves, and we have to stop looking at ourselves as the solution. Burnout isn't a disease. A disease provides definitions for something that is wrong with people instead of what is wrong with companies or industries. Employee burnout is an occupational phenomenon. It can be difficult for an organization and its leaders to hear that the workplace can be the source of job burnout, but it is true. Employees spend a big portion of their week at their jobs. And mind you, this is all time spent away from our families, our friends, and activities we love doing outside of work. But before I proceed, I'm sorry, I will get myself together. I want to make sure that you understand this is not a critique of RHD. I'd like to throw in a caveat that I think we can all agree on, and that is that this is jointly a critique of the field we are in, social services. It is not just issues that reside purely within RHD. So the articles that I read cited 5 main reasons for burnout as unfair treatment, which includes compensation, unmanageable workload, lack of role clarity, not knowing what's expected of employees, lack of communication or support from managers, and unreasonable time pressure. Therefore, the solutions to burnout lie within the employer and the organization and its leaders. They make the articles that I read make the following suggestions for dealing with burnout. One article proposed that a leader's first task is to give permission to workers to make their mental health a priority. Organizations and leaders should develop stronger policies and programs within their workplaces to help managers become more supportive and encourage coworkers to find someone to talk to or to take a mental health day. Leaders must also think about how they can help employees prevent or cope with workplace burnout. Leaders should be curious about what is making their staff so unhealthy. Why does the work environment lack the conditions for them to flourish? How can I make it safe for them to work here? Leaders need to better understand what causes staff to feel motivated and what causes them to feel frustrated. One article suggested that we can achieve this through short, regular meetings between managers and employees. And by short, I mean just 15 minutes a week. They offer some suggestions of the questions to ask during these quick meetings. Instead of a simple, how are you? Try, how was this week? What were the highs and lows for you? What can I do for you next week to make things easier? And what can we do for each other? After opening the lines of communication like this and better understanding where an employee is at, leaders must trust employees and create flexibility. Employees should be included in discussions and feel like they have an active role, control, and participation in decision-making. It might also be time to look at how work is divvied up amongst some groups, and if someone who is twiddling their thumbs while another person seems to be taking on all the projects or tasks, that should be looked at. The articles also stress that leaders should be transparent about their own struggles. Being honest about this helps create psychological safety. I think at RHD we're really good at this and generally probably more accepting than other workplaces. And we should continue to be open and honest with each other about our own circumstances. And finally, leaders need to know how to direct employees to resources. You don't have to be an expert in every topic or issue yourself, but as a leader, you should be able to point an employee in the right direction and know where those experts are within your organization. So this is also a call to the organization and the field of social services to continue to look for ways to provide a safe work environment and to invest in employees' well-being and ability to make a living wage doing the work they have chosen. So these are pretty great recommendations, but it dawned on me that our challenge is that pretty much everyone in RHD workforce is a leader in some form. Our DSPs serve as leaders to the people they support. Our program directors, unit directors, regional directors, department heads, and so forth all fill leadership positions. And if all of those leaders are exhausted and depleted too, then we are just a bunch of exhausted leaders leading exhausted teams. So There's definitely room to include self-care in this conversation. While self-care isn't the solution to burnout, it certainly has value as a Band-Aid, or really even more than that. Anything that mitigates some of the effects of the ongoing stress in your body and promotes resiliency is really good. But let's not talk about self-care as if it is the solution and people need to be doing it to get better, because quite frankly, that's been making self-care feel like a chore to me lately. Another thing on my to-do list that I'm not accomplishing and feeling stressed or guilty about. So I attempted to put together a little list of self-care ideas that are maybe a tad bit outside the usual box of tricks. And I'm hoping that that might make self-care seem a little more approachable and attainable, especially during this busy holiday season that we're in. So some of my favorite things on here on the upper right corner, because I work with environments, and I love this one, which is to eliminate one of the microaggressions in your routine or space. So for instance, if you, every time you sit down at your desk, don't have a phone charger and you're like, oh, I have to go up and, go find my phone charger and bring it to my desk, solve that one little irritation for yourself. Order another phone charger and put it next to your desk. Little things like this can make a difference in your daily routine. Another thing you could do would be decide to go for a walk during one of your meetings, or go for a walk with a participant you're serving during your shift. Another idea would be the same, like staying active. It doesn't matter if you get up and do 20 jumping jacks or run in place for 30 seconds, it all adds up. You could also follow along with a YouTube video that shows you how you can massage your own feet, eyes, or tired shoulders and neck. There's a great lady named, I put her name on here, Kira Nagel, who has some really good videos on YouTube that show you how you can do this for yourself. You could also find a creative activity that is secretly also mindful, like painting a mandala online, or mindful lettering, or really any little hobby that you do at home that you like. Maybe dedicate 10 minutes every day to just take a break and work on that. You could find, if you need some inspiration, I didn't put this on there, but there's a great website where you can type in websites around the world, and there's one called Radio Garden where it has a map of the world, and you can just click on any place in the world and hear what's playing on the radio. So take a little break. Another one that's personally near and dear to my heart is activating your senses, which is a great way to bring your body back, bring yourself back into your body when you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, stressed, or tired. So surround yourself with things that activate your senses, like an aromatherapy oil diffuser, a happy lamp, or just some cool mood lighting, a blanket that adds a little weight, a textured throw pillow that's pleasant to touch. Surrounding yourself with these things lets your space do the work for you of grounding yourself. You can also take some time to reconnect with an out-of-touch friend, or since it's the holidays, buy yourself a gift. You know your own taste best, so why not treat yourself this year? Or you could get in a little meditation, and if meditation isn't something that you feel comfortable with, there's other ways to do this that kind of secretly do it. For instance, just ring a bell and listen to it until you can't hear it anymore. So sit quietly with your eyes closed and just listen until the sound is gone. If you don't have a bell to ring, there are actually recordings of this available if you search online. And remember that the small acts of self-care add up and act as pressure valves throughout the day. So step away from your task every 2 minutes now and then and do something that pleases you. And we're going to try this today because I've saved a little meditation on YouTube that we will play. And if you are comfortable with meditation, I hope you'll join in. And if not, then you could use those few minutes to do something else that you like. Just turn off your camera and do whatever makes you happy. And finally, my last note on self-care is that sometimes self-care is about ministering to the reality of your own pain and exhaustion and giving yourself what you need to fuel up. So simply acknowledging, I hurt, I need to sit down, I need to lie down, and then doing what it takes to gather the energy to do what's needed or expected of you. So that was what I had on self-care. Sherry, I don't know if we wanted to launch right into the meditation or if we were going to do something else in between.
I'm going to say launch right in, but if I'm in, I see Marco shaking his head yes.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you. I'm hoping you're seeing all the positive feedback you're getting in the chat. And there's a lot. So I'm sure that took some courage, and I just want to appreciate you, and you're getting lots of appreciation. And I personally appreciate how you framed that. And I do think I like to read on this topic that organizations need to figure this out. It is part of the tsunami turnover. So thank you. And let's go into our meditation.
Okay, I so appreciate all the comments, and thank you. It did take a lot of courage to get through that. I was going to say a couple things before I start the meditation, which is just that that it's the whole thing is 10 minutes, but it's possible to shorten it. Like it can stop a few minutes in. So I don't know if somebody wants to give me kind of an indication of how much time we want to dedicate to this. And the other thing I was going to tell you is that it's not a breathing meditation. Instead of breath, it uses phrases, like spoken phrases, to kind of anchor yourself and to set the pace, which I thought was actually kind of cool because on Zoom, we can all mute ourselves, we can turn off our cameras. And if you're in a space with other people and don't want to actually verbalize the phrases, you can just say it in your head. And again, if this is not your thing, please use these couple of minutes to do something else that makes you happy. All right, so I'm going to screen share again. And if anybody wants to just tell me, because I can't see the chat, how long you'd like to do this for. And this is kindness.
Yeah, I see a lot of people have the 10-minute. So let's go for it.
That is great. Okay. I'm going to turn this up and here we go. And I'll turn off my camera as well. Make sure you can still see the screen, right?
As we start this meditation, you are welcome to sit or lie down. You can have your eyes open or closed, whatever is most comfortable for you. We will have 4 phrases that we will work with, silently repeating each phrase with enough space and silence so that it's pleasing for you. The phrases that we will use are, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live with ease. We will use these phrases or any other variation that resonates with you. We will begin with the sound of the bell. We will begin by offering loving kindness to ourselves. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. With each phrase, gather all attention and focus behind it. Feelings and thoughts will come and go, and just release them as they come up. Here, the anchor is not your breath, but the repetition of the phrases. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Now choose someone in your life that inspires you, strengthens you in some way. It could be a person close to you, or maybe someone you've never met, or even an animal that brings you joy. Or someone, when you think of them, you're grateful for. And direct the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Focus now on someone who might be having a difficult time right now, someone who may be hurting, and offer the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. If you find your attention wandering, don't be discouraged. Just gently turn your attention back to the phrases, using the phrases as your anchor to this meditation. And now call to mind someone you may not know much about. Perhaps someone in your neighborhood, or someone whose name you might not even know. And direct the phrases of loving kindness to them. Know that they also seek happiness just as you do. They are also vulnerable to pain or loss, just as we are. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. And now choose someone in your life you may have difficulty with, someone who might be causing you stress. Direct the phrases of loving kindness to them. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. And if you find that it's just too difficult to direct the phrases toward them, just go back to redirecting it to yourself. In that moment, you're the one who is suffering, who needs compassion. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Now direct the phrases of loving kindness toward all beings, toward all people, animals, every form of life, gathering all attention behind the phrases. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease.
Thank you, Leah. That was amazing. I feel like the whole energy has changed on the Zoom. So with that, let me turn it over to Marco for closing remarks.
Sherry. And again, thank you, Leah, for bringing a pause for us today, a much needed pause for all of us on the call today. So very appreciative of not only the information, Leah, but also your perspective and the opportunity you provided for us today. So with that, I wish you all a lovely afternoon. Let's remind one of the things that Leah shared with us today, and that we are all leaders and that we all will benefit from the support of each other in helping us get through this moment in time. So have a lovely day, everyone. See you next time.